The soybean comes from an Asian plant called Glycine max and was native to Central Asia. In 1765, it was introduced to the United States by Samuel Bowen, a sailor who had been visiting China. Bowen grew soy around Savannah, Georgia, and made soy sauce to sell to England. In 1851, soybean seeds were distributed around to farmers in Illinois and other farms in the Corn Belt. Over the next few decades, soybeans increased in popularity among farmers as it was good feed for livestock. The USDA began encouraging farmers to grow soybeans to use as animal feed. In the 20th century, soybean demand grew exponentially. After World War I during the Depression, Dust Bowl farmers used soy plants to help regenerate their soil with their nitrogen-fixing ability, which regenerated the soil so the crops could continue to grow. In 1931, Henry Ford hired chemists Robert Boyer and Frank Calvert to produce a kind of artificial silk. The silk they created was made out of spinning protein fibers and called Aslons, which they were able to produce suits, felt hats, overcoats, and more. Although production was high, Aslons were eventually beaten by DuPont nylon. Between 1932 and 1933, the Ford Motor Company spent around $1,250,000 on soybean research, and by 1935, every Ford car involved soy in the manufacturing process. Soybean oil was used in the paint as well as the fluid for the shock absorbers. Auto body panels made of soy-based plastic were used to create the prototype soybean car in 1941. An estimated 120 pounds of soybeans were used in the manufacture of each Ford car. Ford's use of soy in his cars created one of the first major links between agriculture and industry. When World War II began, trouble in China caused the U.S. main supply of soy to halt, so American farmers had to take over as the war demanded large amounts of soy. After the war, in the 1950s, the U.S. was in a state of economic prosperity, and, as such, people were able to afford more meat, and the livestock that produced that meat ate soy-based feed, which means that the soy market was booming. Since the 1950s, soy-based animal feed has become the most widely used type of feed and remains so today. Soy also has other uses that are much more widespread today, such as textured vegetable protein, a meat substitute that imitates the taste and texture of meat for vegetarians and vegans. Soy can also provide a dairy alternative in cases of lactose intolerance through soy milk and soy ice cream. Soy has gone from being primarily used as a condiment to animal feed, into our cars, and, for some, a main source of protein. It can be assumed that without soy, the Dust Bowl could have been even worse, as well as the higher meat consumption of the 1950s being less sustainable. All in all, soy seems to make life a bit easier and a bit cheaper.